All right, this program is not program. This video is to show you how to read data from a text file into a program. So first, I'm going to upload my text file. I can either do Control M and paste it in new file, or I can upload a file. So I have one that are the happiest cities on earth somewhere. See if I can see it. Happiest cities text file. So I just made a Google Doc file, and I just saved that, downloaded that as a text file. Bam. So here is a text file. So it has 4 different fields: the ranking, the city, the country it's in, the region it's in, and the some arbitrary number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields for each one of them. So my text file, my program. So to open my text file, I have some kind of name. I'm going to use my file, but it could be anything, equals, open, and then in parentheses, the name of the file. So happiest cities.txt. So hopefully that's the right name. Okay, and then I'm going to have a comma. What do I want to open it for? So some of the choices are for read. So that means I'm opening it to read the file. I'm opening it to append the file, which is add to the end of it. I'm writing to the file, which overwrites the file potentially. I can also, I believe there's a remove the file or delete the file, something like that. Bam. All right. And then anytime I open a file, I got to remember to close it. Otherwise, when you exit all this, I'm leaving my file open, and it's eventually going to either disrupt it or give you problems. So I go my file dot close. Okay, so I'm opening my file, I'm closing my file. So if I run this, it says no such file, happiest cities text. Okay, H, small h. Bam. So let's try it again. Okay, so it ran my program, it opened my file, and it closed my file. I didn't do anything to my file, so it's really not very interesting. So let's actually do something to my file. But if I do those 2 steps, I can see at least I'm not getting an error. It's reading the right file. Okay, so now I can go in and do something with it. So I'll go in, I'll go content, and it could be any name, some variable name, equals my file dot read. Bam. If I run this now, again, nothing happens, but I should have read my file into something called content. If I go in down here somewhere, I go print content, run, bam. So now it's printing exactly what I saw in my text file. So my text file, my output. So we can see now that it went in and read my content. So now I got to actually do something. So this is just kind of, like a bunch of data, but I want to be able to read that into like a list variable separated by the fields, all that kind of stuff. So I go in, bam, back to my program. So after I read it, I want to go in and I want to clean it up a little bit. So typically most files, so a Google form or an Excel spreadsheet will generate something in the format called a CSV file, comma separated value file. So if you look at all my data down here, I have, a number followed by a comma, followed by a comma, followed by a comma, followed by a comma. So each data field has a comma behind it. I also have new lines. So basically now I want to take all the new lines out, and then I also got to go in and all the spaces out, and then I want to read all my data separated by commas. So I do that. I go in, I go content. Let's go in and copy this. I'm going to use it. And you have done this before when we format it. I go, whoa, there we go, content.replace. And I want to place all my spaces with nothing. So the first thing I do, so this would take out any blank spaces. So if I go in, I go takes out any blank spaces. So if a file has, stuff beforehand, that's blank spaces. So if I go ahead and run it now, bam, now you can see there's no spaces. It's just data. So this is going to help me further on. Also, check it out in this file. Anything that was to like New Zealand down here, right? Typically would be 2 words. Since I knew I was going to put spaces, take spaces out, anything that was 2 words like Tel Aviv, New Zealand, I just put an underscore in. Otherwise, it would have like taken those spaces out too, and that would have been kind of funky. Okay, I'm also go in and do a content replace, and I'm going to replace this guy, bam, bam, by nothing. So this guy means new line. So every time the data goes to a new line, so check it out. If I go to my data again, right? Happiest city. So see, after it's 5.82, there's a new line that goes to this. So even though we don't see it when we print it, right here, there's a character called a new line character that tells it to go to the next line. So if I'm reading it, I want to separate it all by a comma. I'm going to replace the new line by a comma. Whoa, where did everything go? So I go in, and so this guy replaces new line, not by nothing, by a comma. So this guy replace new line, so replace new line by comma. So this basically, like, instead of going to the new line, it's gonna do a comma. And I don't think we'll see it down there. Let's see what happens when I run it. Yeah, so now check it out. So now my whole file is one continuous stream of data. This is one big string right here. So this is how the program is actually going to read it, as one continuous string. So now that I have that, now I want to go in and I actually want to separate stuff like that. I could have closed the file, by the way, not necessarily right here. I could have done it right up here. So, whatever. Does that make sense? Like this guy, Control X, Control V, it runs the same file. I opened it, I read all of it into content, I closed it, and then I go in and I start formatting it so I can read it. Okay, I'm going to format it now. So now we have I want to create a list. So now I can do that by splitting it. And basically, since I have commas between all the values, I go in and I'll make a list. I'll call it content list, but it really anything. Content list. Okay, so any variable name equals, whoa, not my file close, equal content. So basically, like this variable right here, my string dot split. So the split function will basically separate a string based on whatever criteria you want. I'm going to split it every time it sees a comma. Bam. So now if I go in, I can go print. I'm going to get rid of the print. Well, I'll do print content first. And then after that, I'll go print a blank line. And then I'll print the content list. So I'm printing the string, blank line, and then I'm printing, hopefully, a list of my output. Whoa, let's see what happened here. Content list not defined. Content, I spelled it wrong. Content. There we go. Try it again. Bam. So now you can see the first field is just a giant string. Here I have a list. You can tell by the bracket right here. And each field is now in quotes. You can use double. This will generate a single quote, but single quote in a list and double quote makes no difference. Okay, so now I have a giant list of all these different items. So let's say that I wanted to only go in and read all the cities, for example. So now I can go in, I have it all split, right? I have my content list, get rid of these two print statement. Now I can go in and I can, let's make a city list. On your case, you're probably doing this into one of the fields in your class. But since I didn't make a class, I'm going to read. So I'll go city list. Cool. I'm gonna have a loop. I need a loop. Okay, bam. I'm gonna get rid of this guy. Bam, bam. So I'll go for I in range length of content list. Bam. Okay, so now let's say that I want to read all the cities, right? So field 0, field 1. So I want to start at number 1. Bam. And I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every fifth one. 5. So I'm going to start at the first one, go to the end of the list, and I'm going to go every fifth item. Bam. And then I'll go print content list I. So now if I'm going to do that, bam, it's printing out of that list, it's printing all the cities. So Helsinki, Aarhus, Wellington, Zurich, Copenhagen, Tel Aviv. If we go into my list right here, you can see Helsinki, Aarhus, Wellington. So now I can separate different things out of my list. If I wanted to do, let's say, the what country it's in instead of the cities, that would be the first, second, third. Oh, so 0, 1, 2, that would start at position 2. So I just go in. Let's say I want to do a new field. Let's say I want to print both of them. So I could go in and I can do now content list. So if this is the city, the next one, so number I would be the city, right? The next one, I plus 1, would be the country. I plus 1. Oh, not that guy. That was this guy, I plus 1. I plus 1. So if I go ahead and print this, now it'll print for each of them. It'll print the city and the country. I probably would have put a comma or something if I was printing it. It would look nicer. So I can go bam, bam, bam. Let's do it again. Run. Whoa, what happened? I'm missing a comma. That happened. Bam. Run. Bam. So now I have a comma between them. But this will help you separate. So let's say I wanted to do these cities separately. I can go in again. Bam, bam, bam. I only want to do, like, let's say cities, and then I want to do the countries. Bam. Now I can go in and I can go, instead of starting in the first, I start in the second. Bam. So it has all the cities and then all the countries. So starting right here, Helsinki in Finland, and so on and so on. To make it easier to read, I can make another print statement right here just to add blank. Remember, blank spaces as your friend. So it prints the city followed by the country. So now we can separate out. I can read data and I can separate it out. So what you will have to do now is instead of just printing it, now you have to append this guy into your existing list. So whatever your field is, student dot, if I had a list of happy country, my record might be happy places or something like that. So happy places dot city would get content list I. Happy places dot city dot append would have to get content list I, and the happy city dot country dot append would have to get country list I. So just like you inputted in one of the previous classes, you inputted the actual information. Instead of just inputted last name, you would just whatever the field that you're inputting in. So I hope that makes sense.